What is up, movie fans? Welcome to RST Cinema. The Academy Awards have been handing out gold for almost a century. You can argue all day about whether the judges are biased or remember the masterpieces they completely ignored. But you just can't deny the massive impact of this award. Today, I've put together something truly special for you. These are 30 of the greatest films in cinematic history that absolutely deserve to take home the ultimate golden statue. I specifically ranked this list so the finale will actually shock you. So, sit back, relax, and let's dive in. Number 30, Oppenheimer, 2023. Kicking off our list is Christopher Nolan's massive triumph, taking home 7 statues out of 13 nominations. It became the highest-grossing biopic in history, nearly hitting the $1 billion mark. Nolan famously refused to use CGI, recreating a nuclear blast with practical effects. This movie brought mainstream audiences back to serious historical dramas and finally got Cillian Murphy and Robert Downey Jr. their long overdue gold. Number 29, Gone with the Wind, 1939. A monumental epic that runs for almost 4 hours, but keeps you hooked the entire time. It won 8 Oscars and adjusted for inflation. It remains the highest-grossing movie in global box office history. It also made history when Hattie McDaniel became the first Black actress to ever win an Academy Award. Number 28, Ben-Hur, 1959. The first movie ever to set the ultimate record, 11 wins out of 12 nominations. It was the most expensive project of its time, literally saving MGM Studios from bankruptcy. They made over 1 million props for the shoot, and that epic chariot race, shot in a massive real-life arena with thousands of extras, with 0 computer graphics. Number 27. All Quiet on the Western Front, 1930, the very first powerful anti-war film in cinema history. Taking home 2 Oscars, the realism on screen was so piercing that the Nazis immediately banned it from being shown in Germany. To make it terrifyingly authentic, the director hired actual World War I veterans as extras. Number 26, The Last Emperor, 1987. Director Bernardo Bertolucci did the impossible. His film won all 9 categories it was nominated for. It was the first Western production allowed to shoot inside the Forbidden City, in Beijing. They used 19,000 soldiers from the Chinese army as extras, and the visual aesthetics are still considered the absolute gold standard of cinematography. Number 25, A Beautiful Mind, 2001. A deep dive into the human mind, based on the life of genius mathematician John Nash. The film grabbed 4 statues, including Best Director for Ron Howard. Russell Crowe vanished into the role so completely that the real John Nash was blown away by how perfectly the actor mirrored his unique mannerisms. Number 24, Slumdog Millionaire, 2008. This British drama from Danny Boyle was originally meant to go straight to DVD, but instead, it blew up the global box office and swept 8 Oscars. On a tiny budget of $15 million, it grossed almost $400 million. And here is a crazy fact. All the kids who played the main characters in their youth were actually living in the real slums of Mumbai during filming. Number 23, Rain Man, 1988. A touching road trip story of 2 brothers that became the highest-grossing movie of its year. Dustin Hoffman prepared for the role for a whole year, spending time with people on the autism spectrum to make sure he played Raymond with absolute respect and accuracy. This brilliant performance won him an Oscar and changed how the whole world viewed autism. Number 22, Driving Miss Daisy, 1989. An incredibly heartwarming drama that secured 4 Academy Awards. The story of a friendship between an elderly Jewish woman and her black driver wins you over with its cozy vibe and pure honesty. Jessica Tandy made history becoming the oldest winner of the Best Actress Oscar at the time. She was 80 years old. Number 21, Million Dollar Baby, 2004. A heartbreaking drama that earned Clint Eastwood his second Oscar for Best Director. Studios kept refusing to fund the movie, convinced a story about female boxing would bomb. Hilary Swank packed on 19 pounds of pure muscle, training 5 hours a day. The result? 4 major Academy Awards. Number 20, Unforgiven, 1992. Another masterpiece from Clint Eastwood, where he directed and starred. The script for this gritty Western sat on a shelf for over 10 years. Just because Eastwood was waiting for his face to look old enough for the part, the film completely flipped the Western genre on its head and rightfully claimed 4 golden statues. Number 19, The Deer Hunter, 1978. Michael Cimino's dramatic epic about the Vietnam War, showing the psychological trauma of soldiers without any sugarcoating. To maximize the tension in the legendary Russian roulette scene, the actors used a real revolver with one empty chamber, a brutal masterpiece that cemented Robert De Niro's status as a living legend. Number 18, American Beauty, 1999. The big winner at the turn of the millennium, taking home 5 Oscars. Kevin Spacey was pure genius playing a man whose life is crumbling under a midlife crisis and fake societal standards. That famous scene with the floating plastic bag? It wasn't even in the original script, but it ended up becoming the movie's most iconic visual. Number 17, Braveheart, 1995. A historical epic that conquered 5 Academy Awards. Director and lead actor Mel Gibson didn't even want to play William Wallace at first, thinking he was way too old for the part. Despite taking major liberties with history, audiences fell in love with the insane scale of the battles, which featured real soldiers from the Irish Army. Number 16, Green Book, 2018. A soulful story about the bond between an Italian bouncer and an elegant black pianist. Viggo Mortensen gained over 40 pounds for the role by eating an ungodly amount of pizza and pasta. It is one of the best films about racial prejudice ever made, because instead of fueling more hate, it genuinely brings people together. Number 15, Rocky, 1976. The ultimate underdog story. Sylvester Stallone wrote the script and flat out refused to sell it unless they let him play the lead. The budget was so tight that his relatives worked as extras for free. In the end, it won 3 Oscars, became the biggest box office hit of the year, and launched a legendary franchise. Number 14, Platoon, 1986. Director Oliver Stone, an actual Vietnam veteran, delivered one of the most realistic combat films ever made. Before the cameras rolled, he sent his actors to a grueling 2-week survival camp in the deep jungle, just so they would look genuinely exhausted on screen. The film won 4 Oscars and kicked off Stone's iconic Vietnam trilogy. Number 13, The Departed, 2006. The movie that finally got the legendary Martin Scorsese his long overdue Oscar for Best Director. It's a remake of a Hong Kong thriller, and many critics actually think it beats the original. On set, Jack Nicholson went totally off script, even pulling a real gun to shock Leonardo DiCaprio and get genuine terror on camera. Number 12, 12 Years a Slave, 2013. A brutal historical drama based on the real memoirs of Solomon Northup. The film holds nothing back, tackling inhuman cruelty and the fight to keep your identity. Michael Fassbender got so deeply into his role as a ruthless plantation owner that he literally passed out from nervous exhaustion while filming some of the harshest scenes. Number 11, Everything Everywhere, All at Once, 2022. An absolute phenomenon that snatched 7 Oscars. It is a crazy mix of a kung fu action flick, a family drama, and wild sci-fi. It broke historical records, becoming the most awarded film in cinema history. Amazingly, the stunning visual effects were created by a team of just 5 guys with no formal VFX training. Number 10, No Country for Old Men, 2007. The Coen brothers delivered a tense masterpiece that won 4 statues. What makes this movie unique is that it has almost zero musical score. All the suspense is built entirely on sound design. And Javier Bardem's character, the cold-blooded Anton Chigurh, was officially recognized by clinical psychologists as the most realistic portrayal of a psychopath in movie history. Number 9, Gladiator, the year 2000. The absolute peak of the historical action genre from Ridley Scott. Russell Crowe became a global superstar after this role. Tragically, actor Oliver Reed passed away during production, forcing the crew to use early CGI technology to finish his scenes. It's a majestic film with an unforgettable atmosphere and 5 well-deserved Oscars. Number 8, Forrest Gump, 1994. A legendary movie that won 6 Oscars during one of the most fiercely competitive years in film history, beating both Pulp Fiction and The Shawshank Redemption. Tom Hanks became the second actor ever to win back-to-back Oscars. The visual effects were groundbreaking, flawlessly inserting the main character into real historical footage. Number 7, Titanic, 1997. James Cameron's record breaker, tying Ben-Hur's achievement with 11 Oscars. It became the very first movie in history to cross the $1 billion mark. The production scale was mind-blowing, shot in a gigantic water tank with special effects that were a full decade ahead of the industry. Number 6, The Godfather, Parts 1 and 2, 1972 and 74. A unique case where both the original film and its sequel won Best Picture. Combined, the 2 movies scored 20 nominations and 9 statues. Marlon Brando famously rejected his award to protest Hollywood's treatment of Native Americans, while Al Pacino and Robert De Niro became permanent icons of gangster cinema. Number 5, The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, 2003. The 3rd movie in history to take 11 Oscars, but here is the crazy part. It won every single category it was nominated for. A flawless sweep. Peter Jackson dedicated 8 years of his life to this trilogy, and the finale remains the only pure fantasy film to ever win Best Picture. Number 4, Schindler's List, 1993. Steven Spielberg's most personal, incredible masterpiece. Shot in strict black and white with just one bright accent, the little girl in the red coat. Spielberg absolutely refused to take a paycheck for this work, calling it blood money. It's not just a 7-time Oscar winner, it's a vital historical document that makes millions of people cry to this day. Number 3, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, 1975. A profound philosophical story about a single man taking on a soulless system. The film swept the big 5 major Oscars. Filming took place in a real mental hospital, with actual patients working as extras. This performance officially locked in Jack Nicholson as the greatest actor of his generation. Number 2, Parasite, 2019. The movie that shattered a century of Hollywood tradition. It was the first non-English language film to ever win Best Picture. Director Bong Joon-ho crafted a flawless social satire. The rich family's house wasn't real. It was entirely designed and built from scratch just to capture the perfect natural lighting. This movie changed global box office history and proved the sheer genius of Korean cinema. Number 1, The Silence of the Lambs, 1991. Here's the surprise I promised. Historical dramas are great, but sitting at the very top of our list is the only thriller horror film in history to sweep the Big 5 Oscars. Anthony Hopkins was on screen for barely 16 minutes, but his terrifying charisma won him Best Actor, and Hannibal Lecter went down as the greatest movie villain of all time. Jodie Foster admitted that on set. She felt genuine, bone-chilling fear working with him. An absolute masterpiece that grips you by the throat from the first second to the last. All right, movie fans, That was the top 30 Oscar-winning masterpieces according to RST Cinema. Drop a comment below and tell me which of these films you think is the ultimate masterpiece and who the Academy totally ignored. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our new deep dives into the magic of movies. Catch you next time.